Hey everybody, it's Nicole Spohr here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to be sharing some foiling and stenciling cards with Pinkfresh Studio March 2021 release products. Yes, you heard that right. There are some foiling plates in this release, and you guys, if you already follow me, you know that I love foiling, and I am going to be using these new foil plates with my Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil machine. This is what I use for my foiling. I'm a huge fan of the Spellbinders foil plates, and I just wanted you guys to see how amazing these new Pinkfresh Studio products work with the Spellbinders system. So I believe the products, I am going to just grab one of these really quick so that I can tell you for sure, but that they work with like several different foiling machines out there. So definitely, so in fact, I'm just going to read what it says on the back of the packaging. These hot foil plates are compatible with leading hot foil machine systems. I am sure some of the other designers and the Pinkfresh blog and things are going to talk about what machines and kind of the whole process. I'm showing you the Glimmer process. You put the hot foil plate down on the pad there, then you put your foil with the dull side down. You finish with your cardstock. I'm actually taping mine together, so I know you're going to see it a little opposite, but this is so it doesn't shift. I am using gold foil here. I did want to mention that because you're going to see a couple of different foil colors. So it's the plate, it's the foil, it's your cardstock, and then we've got our plastic shim. I also use a cardstock shim and then the top pad, and when you pull it away, beautiful foiling. I will tell you, I have found over time that I prefer using a bigger piece of cardstock, and then I will trim that down with a rectangle die. I just foiled the Thank You So Much hot foil plate, and oh my gosh, you guys, I bet this one is super popular. I mean, how gorgeous is that? I actually end up foiling this twice for the 3 cards I'm sharing today, but look at this die that coordinates. It die cuts all the little swoops and swirls. I think it's incredible. I'm really impressed with this. I am going to go ahead and really quickly foil the Celebrate on some of this Simon Says Stamp lemon yellow cardstock. I mean, it's gorgeous too. How fantastic is that? It'll work for so many different occasions. We're going to line its coordinating die as well, and then I'm going to just run both of those through my die cutting machine. I do have some videos on my YouTube channel kind of going over the Spellbinders hot foil system, so if that is new to you, I will link that in the notes below this video on YouTube, so you can check that out if you want to. Like I said, if that Glimmer hot foil system is new to you and you want to learn more, I will link to that below. I highly recommend it. I've had fantastic luck with it. I really love it. And of course, I'm foiling on yellow cardstock here. I'm also going to foil on some white cardstock in a minute, just to kind of show you the difference, but you can foil on any color. It's going to give you a little bit different look and result. So one of the things I love, this beautiful background that I foiled, I actually stamped it with a black outline. That's what you can see up in the upper corner, and I don't love that one. So we're not going to use that today. We're going to use the foil, and then I did want to show if you want to use the stamp instead, because there's actually stamp, foil, and stencil for this one, you can. I'm going to just show a couple of different examples as far as backgrounds go for this design. I stamped this with clear ink on the lemon yellow background. We are going to sprinkle this with white embossing powder, and then we're going to stencil both the foiled and embossed backgrounds with some of my favorite Pinkfresh Studio inks. I know I talk about them all the time, even when I am not using other Pinkfresh Studio stamps or dies or stencils. That is because I truly do love these inks. I think they are phenomenal because there are so many different shades per color family, which makes them really usable, in my opinion. There is the full-size ink pads, and there's also ink cubes. So if maybe the full-size ink pads are not something that are either in your budget or you don't want to store, because I'm with you there that things can get crazy when you're trying to store all of these things. Maybe the cubes are a better option, but I really, really love these colors. We are heat embossing now this background. Isn't it so pretty? I'm really, really excited about this, you guys. I love all of the products from the release this month. I think I probably say that every time, but I just think they're phenomenal. I know I've been sharing a lot of stenciling projects, stenciling envelopes to coordinate with cards, lots and lots of things like that. It is truly because I am loving this technique, and I feel like the products are just getting better and better all the time. I don't know how you guys feel, but I just truly think that the products get more amazing. So one of the things I love the most about Pinkfresh Studio stencils is they number them. Obviously, what was I doing that didn't even line up at all? Let's flip it around. But there's notches in the corners, so it's going to line up with an A2 background perfectly with whatever product you used originally. So whether that be a stamped background. In fact, I'm going to do the stamp background first because I figured if I messed it up, and I'm totally going to mess it up, and I left it in here because I like to be real with you guys, and I'm laughing at myself. You can laugh too. This is supposed to be the flower, and I went ahead and just went right in with my mint ink. When I lifted it off, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, it must have just been that sixth sense telling me, don't ink the foil one first. The foil one just takes a little more effort. The stamping and embossing, not so much. You could probably just tell even with my reaction. I threw it down. I was like, what did you just do, girl? Anyway, stamped, embossed it again. Let's try take two. Let's start with sweet mustard. I don't know what it's been, but I am addicted to yellow right now. I think it's just so bright and happy. We can all use bright and happy, right, you guys? I'm ready for warm weather. I'm ready for sunshine. I'm ready for flowers. I've mowed the grass twice. It's growing, which is awesome. I like to mow. I know. Crazy. I used to complain so much growing up. Every time my dad would be like, you need to go mow. My brother and I both had different mowing jobs around our property. I grew up out in the country, so we had a lot of land to mow. And I used to hate it. And I think it's so funny because now I'm like AirPods in, out mowing, walking. I'm just loving it. Who knows? If anyone else out there is the same way, let me know. I know not everyone loves it, but I do. Anyway, we are going to do both of these backgrounds exactly the same. And it's so easy to line up. I love just kind of showing this. So what I was saying about the stencils, they're numbered. They're numbered and tell you which one comes first, which one comes next. Now you could definitely go out of order if you want to. In fact, when I'm working on the coordinating envelopes at the end of the video, I did kind of work out of order just a little bit, but it's so fantastic. So this is mint. This is going to be my nice base color for the leaves and stems. I didn't want to use a dark green, so we're going for a little bit more of a obviously minty color here, but look how great that color looks on the yellow cardstock. I know we all use white so often, but I would really love to encourage you to try inking on colored cardstock. The results are amazing, and I think the Pinkfresh Studio inks look amazing. I do want to mention what you see here will fade a tiny bit. These are dye inks. As the ink is absorbed into the cardstock, it tends to kind of even out, which is awesome, but it also tends to just lighten up a little bit, but it works beautifully on here. So next up, we have our next stencil. This is stencil 3. And this is going to be the layering for the flowers. I'm going to use apricot, so a really pretty orange. This is a nice lighter orange over the yellow. I know it's going to look a little harsh, but it does fade out super duper pretty. And it's just really the perfect layering color. Almost ends up looking like a dark, dark yellow when it's dry. And we're just working on each of these. I'm doing it assembly line style. So think if you were doing a bunch of these, you could totally just kind of keep them going. And then finally, we have our 4th stencil for this set. This stencil set has 4, and that's going to be the layering for the leaves. And I am going to use Meadow ink for this, which is a really kind of pretty turquoisey green. And I love it. I just like to double check, make sure it's all looking good. And ink it all up. And that's it. This is our background. We're going to pop a sentiment and a couple of little embellishments, but look at the foiling on there. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so this is the background without the foiling. This is the stamping and embossing. If foiling isn't for you, or maybe you don't have a foil system, I think this is a great option. And oh, I completely forgot to tell you guys, I did want to mention this. The hot foil plate, you can also use them to create letterpress looks with a standard die cutting machine. It tells you that on the back of the packaging. So you'd simply run it through with your cardstock through your die cutting machine, and it's going to give you that raised letterpress look instead of foiling if you don't want to use the foil for that. So there are my 2 backgrounds all finished. I am actually going to foil the thank you so much on green foil from, and I am using all Spellbinders foil today that works with their glimmer system. And the tool I'm using to cut my foil is their quick trimmer, which is really fantastic for foil. So I'm going to go ahead and foil that sentiment on white, and I'm going to show you why when I go to put those sentiments on the particular backgrounds. Let's go ahead and create our 3rd background. This background is different than the others. I also ended up foiling this one on white. Because I foiled my sentiments before I did all my backgrounds, I was able to take the Celebrate sentiment and lay it on the yellow background, and I felt like it faded into the background way too much. I think it's going to show up better on a stenciled background that has a white base. So that's why I opted for white. I had fully intended to go with a yellow cardstock base here, but I really, really like how it ended up on the white. So for this, I'm actually going to use Lemon Whip as my base instead of the Sweet Mustard. I thought I would use a different yellow, but I don't like that one as much, I don't think. So I'm going to use Marigold. I was going to use Sweet Mustard, pardon me, as my layering for the flowers, but I ended up using Marigold. That's it. So we have Lemon Whip, then Marigold. This is stencil number 2. Stencil number 3 is going to be the base of the leaves. This set has 6 stencils. Again, they are so easy to line up, you guys, because there's the notches in the corners and they are numbered. I think Pinkfresh has just completely hit it out of the park with this system because there's no guesswork. I know there's other fantastic layering stencils out there. I have used them, but there is zero instruction, I guess. And I mean, this is not really instruction, but it does help you so much to have the little guides in the corners and have the stencils numbered, or at least, you know, what number on this stencil comes next. I think it's just brilliant. The greenery is mint. I'm using the same two colors again. In fact, I'm using most of the same colors that I used for the first two cards. It's just on a white background. But now I am pulling in this really pretty, I believe I used apricot here, didn't I? Yes. So I'm using apricot for the small flowers and also the center of the big flower. So the big flower for this is lemon whip and marigold. Then we have apricot, and BERRYLICIOUS is going to be the small ones. That's going to be a red. And the leaves are mint and meadow. I have all of this listed on my blog too, if you want that for easy reference. This is the 6th stencil. So 6 stencils in this, but so easy. They just line right up. And again, I did use all kind of yellows and oranges. Bright, happy sunshine. That's kind of how I was feeling when I was creating these. And I know someone mentioned here on my channel that card that wants to get made gets made. And I just keep thinking that all the time because it's so true. I tried to make myself use other colors and I was like, I want to use yellow. And trying to force myself was making me have so much like, ugh, I don't want to do this. And the minute I just gave myself permission to use yellows, I was like, I just knocked these out. And I probably knocked them out in an hour and a half. And that was with some interruptions. Really, really quick. Here are our backgrounds and all of the sentiments we're going to use. So I have the thank you so much in gold and green foil. I have celebrate in gold foil. And then we have the foiled background in the center in gold foil. I really felt like my sentiment needed to pop off the background just a tad. I think it's still really easy to read. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I opted for green foil for that panel in the center. I laid the gold foil on it, and I think it's just too much gold foil. So I thought, let's just try a different color of foil. Let's try green. And I loved how it looked. I think it really pops. It may have even shown up better if I had foiled gold on white. You definitely don't have to have lots of different colors of foil. I probably use gold 80% of the time. I love gold foil. Want some color of gold foil, whether it's gold matte or regular gold, antique gold, polished brass, a lot of those kind of things, all kind of similar. I am gluing 3 of the die cuts, one on top of another, to give them that dimension to pop off the background. I've got some acrylic blocks sitting on top of the panels I've already attached to help hold that down, hold it flat, kind of sandwich those layers together on our backgrounds. But this thank you so much takes up pretty much the card front. I don't want to cover up much more of that beautiful floral background on either card. So we're going to leave that basically as is. I am going to add some little acrylic hearts because you guys know me and my little heart accents. I love them. I love them all. These are the Hint of Mint. I've been using them all the time lately. They're from Trinity Stamps. There's like frosted and clear, and I like the little mint color because I think it looks really good with these Pinkfresh Studio inks. I'm adding some little dabs of glue, and I'm using a pickup tool to pick up my little hearts and pop them in place. I'm going to do this for both of the thank you so much cards. They are very similar. Everything about them is the same, just one is stamped and embossed background, one is a foiled background, they're stenciled the same, and then one has gold foil for the sentiment and one has green. Really, really easy. To finish the Celebrate card, I love that Celebrate sentiment, but it's not near as big as Thank You So Much. And one of my favorite things to do is to combine a big die cut sentiment, or in this case, a die cut and foiled sentiment, with another kind of phrase, because I just think it balances out the card so much nicer. So we're going to use a phrase from the Pinkfresh Studio My Favorite Things to Say 2 stamp set. This is from a fairly recent Pinkfresh Studio release. We're going to stamp and emboss that with antique gold embossing powder right underneath where we have adhered the Celebrate. Again, I foiled that and die cut it once, and then I die cut the Celebrate word 2 more times and stacked those one on top of another so it pops off the background just a little bit. We're going to add that stamping and embossing. I really contemplated what color of ink I wanted to use here. I was afraid any colorful ink I used would just blend into the background too much. I really did not want to add a piece of paper on top of this. I still want the beautiful floral stenciling to take center stage. So ultimately, and I didn't want to use black. I did consider it briefly, but I didn't want to use black. So I decided to just coordinate my embossing powder with the foiled sentiment, and I do think I like that the best. And then the only thing we're going to do to finish this card is to add a couple of little acrylic hearts down below the stamped and embossed sentiment. I did miss, it looked like on the word hug, I didn't get it stamped really good, so I took a Versamark pen and just drew in the rest of that letter and added some extra embossing powder and embossed that to fix it. A little quick and easy fix there for our sentiment. So beautiful. You guys, these new stencil sets, you can use them. I know this set I don't believe has a coordinating hot foil plate or stamp. Don't quote me on that though. There's so many new products. But the last design did. But you don't even have to use that one with the stamp or with the hot foil plate. You can simply use these as I did this background right here. So I decided, I was done with my project, I was getting ready to photograph it, and I thought, you know, I think I want to make some coordinating envelopes. I know I've made a ton of them lately, but let's go ahead and just really quickly stencil some of these really gorgeous yellow envelopes from Simon Says Stamp to coordinate with our new cards. But I don't want to stencil the whole front of the card. And because of that, I ended up just kind of, you can see I'm piecing it together. I didn't even follow like the stencil directions really. And I'm being kind of careful. I don't want to ink up all of it. I just really want it going along the left side of the card. But we're using all the same colors we used before, and they still are very easy to line up. When I do the next 2 envelopes, they were slightly trickier, but I managed to get those lined up pretty easily. I'm using my hand as a mask. I probably could have got some masking paper out, but you know, whatever. I did have a little bit of inking that I'm using a sand eraser to remove. Look how pretty this is looking. I'm so excited about this because I think I just am loving coordinating envelopes. I know I asked on one of my recent videos if you guys do them, and I kind of got, you know, yes from some of you and no from some of you. I am finding that the stencils make it so quick and easy, and that I'm a lot more likely to create a coordinating envelope with some stencils just because it is easy. I'm looking for easy with this because again, it's not something anyone's probably going to keep. But yet, gosh, I would love getting an envelope like this in the mail. I've been sending out some of these to my Mail It Monday recipients, so I'm excited for you guys to get those in the mail. Oh, so pretty. I love how that looks. Okay, we have just a couple more envelopes. These are both going to match because these go to the other two cards. Now, this is a little trickier, and I kind of fiddled around with it, I'm trying to guess kind of where I want to put this, and ultimately I just thought, well, let's just start, and I'm not going to ink up all of it. Luckily, I was using the back of the packaging just as a little hint. Or you can use the card that you've already stenciled as a guide just to see kind of naturally where this is going to go. But it is tricky because I'm not using the notches to line it up. So where I told you it was really easy for the card front, this takes maybe a little bit more work. I'm going to tape down my envelope to my desk so it stops moving around. Then I'm going to use some Post-it tape on my stencil. And that does not work. That moved. Let's try again. So let's use the first one, line it up. We're going to lay the next one on top, tape it down, remove the first one. This is going to work a little bit better. So again, I need to be kind of careful where I'm inking. And there is a straight line in one of these leaves. So I ended up just not inking that entire leaf. I kind of had it fade out into the center because that's where we're going to write the address anyway. Let's take our next stencil. I'm going to just reuse this tape, put it up here at the top. We're going to line it up, move the previous one out of the way. Now we're layering on the color for our flowers. And then finally, we will layer on the second color for the leaves. This is the stencil set that just has 4 stencils. I'm going to do this for both envelopes. It's going to give you perfect little stenciled envelopes. It's not going to take up the entire card front, so it's still going to leave a great spot to write in the address. And you have a perfectly matching set. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these foiling and stenciling cards and envelopes using new March 2021 Pinkfresh Studio products. The supplies I used to create these cards and envelopes are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Pinkfresh Studio products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.